Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Please Listen podcast. I'm your host, John Follett, and this episode is going to be one for the ages. There's a lot to discuss, a lot of thoughts, a lot of home truths being told. So grab your popcorn, sit down, grab a snack. This episode's going to be one for the ageists also. So if you hate old people, this is the episode for you. So just stay tuned. A lot of things to talk about, including later in the show, a beloved television series, beloved by many, just aired its final season very recently, that being FX's The Bear. The final season of The Bear came out a little over a week ago, and did it stick the landing is the big question, and I will talk about that and more if you just stay tuned. First of all, I want to start this episode with an apology. An apology for transgressions that I've transgressed upon, mistakes that I made that were on camera, that were seen and heard on camera on this website. If you have been keeping in with this program for a long time, you may have heard me talk about all the way back. I believe it's the first episode that's up of this show. I talk about Shrek 5, the teaser trailer for Shrek 5. Not really a teaser trailer, more just like a teaser. And for those of you who were on the internet at that time, you may have remembered that when that teaser came out, there was a whole big hullabaloo made all across Twitter, Instagram, whatever, of people hating on it, particularly the visual, the animation. The art style of the movie, the animation, the way it moved, the way characters looked, the designs, they had been changed. Because it's been a while since the last Shrek movie, and DreamWorks decided to tweak it to make it look more modern, I guess. And there's a whole big fuss made about it online. And I planted my flag in the dirt, and I said, it's not that big a deal. I said it's not that bad, and also it's not that big a deal. Even if it was bad, I was like, it's not that big a deal. I know many people love Shrek. I love Shrek too. I mean, I also I do like the movie Shrek too. I'm saying, like, I like Shrek also as well. I'm not sure. I don't know if I've seen the fourth one all the way through. I was a fan of Shrek, and obviously I'm used to the way the characters look. And you know, it's you're able to modernize the design of something, or like the animation of something that was old, while still keeping the look of it intact. There's one example. I forget what the example is. I mean, I guess Toy Story is a good example because they've looked basically the same the whole time that they've been around. Just the animation's been getting better lighting and textures or whatever. Whereas with Shrek, they've changed, like, they've started from scratch, like ground zero. Donkey looks different. And I get maybe my point from what I said back then about the teaser. My point, I was more, again, I don't really like when internet, like, hysteria, like, even when something's bad, just the way that the internet, like, reacts to it and, like, piles all these, like, criticisms, and it becomes like this ball of, and it comes to a point where people can just say anything and people will believe it because, like, they already hate this. A good example, Stranger Things. When the final season of Stranger Things came out, I've talked about this before as well, because the season 5, the final season of Stranger Things, people didn't like that one, for valid reasons, of course, but it just became all these things, all these, like, different theories that people were taking as facts. There was, like, a blurry screenshot of the making of documentary that people were like, the logo on this tab looks like the ChatGPT logo. They made this season with AI, and then that just became what everyone said, and they treated it as fact. But if you actually go and you see, like, a high quality version of it, it's not ChatGPT. But like, it's already out there, and, like, you can't put the cat back in the bag in that instance, because it's like, it's become internet. I'm sure even now people will be like, they wrote this with ChatGPT. I don't like internet hysteria things, and I guess that was the main reason why I felt so strongly in defending the Shrek thing, because I think what set me off is I saw people being like, You saw what we did with the Sonic movie, uh, when the trailer came out and Sonic looked really ugly. We got them to redo the whole CGI and now it's good. Let's do this again. And I don't like that doesn't sit right with me. I don't like that. I just didn't like that. It's like when someone has like even when someone's on your side, but they say something like really annoying, it makes you kind of want to be like, maybe I'm not on your side. That's kind of the feeling that I felt. So like I was already like kind of wasn't fully agreeing with what people were saying about the Shrek teaser, but that one thing made me really want to be like, okay, I'm gonna say something about this. Um, and then they delayed the movie and people theorize it's because the internet knew the entire plot from the beginning to end. They were predicting the plot with the daughter. Another reason why I defended it is because that teaser looked like it was made specifically as like a teaser for like not as a clip from the movie, because they're like scrolling on TikTok. So I was like, maybe it's like that's just what it looks like. They didn't spend as much time on this little 30-second teaser as they would like if it was in the actual movie. But recently, a couple weeks ago, there was a new teaser, like a more in-depth teaser trailer that was like not just a clip. This isn't really me fully taking back everything. I don't fully hate the animation or even the character designs. It does look a little more cutesy, maybe to appeal to like younger audiences. Although this trailer, the teaser also kind of seems to be like appealing to the people who grew up with Shrek. So to make the art style more cutesy, I don't see how that doesn't really compute. My problem with the teaser is less so the animation and more so just the bits that they have in it. There are some good ones like the Do you want to build a snowman? I like it when they parody like Disney things, and it's a smart thing to do to parody like the more modern Disney things that have come out since the last Shrek, like Frozen in that instance. But there are some really cringy moments. I'm thinking specifically Gingerbread Man shaking his ass and saying that he's caked up. I guess it makes sense because he is like a pastry. He's like a dessert, and so the caked up pun that kind of works. And then the use of like a dramatic version of the Smash Mouth song. You can't. I guess it makes sense. It's Shrek. And also in the teaser, I saw it said 1 year. In 1 year from now, the movie's coming out. They released the teaser a year in advance. And that first initial teaser came out like half a year ago. When did that one come out? It's like they're teasing this movie like so far beyond. Like it's like the next Avengers movie. That first initial teaser was the cast announcement, is what it's called, over a year ago. February of 2025. And apparently this movie is coming out 2027. So they are marketing this thing so well in advance. Also in the teaser, no Zendaya. Zendaya plays one of Shrek's kids, the daughter. No Zendaya, only the other two kids. I guess because backlash because people being like, Zendaya's in everything. I was also defending the hatred towards Zendaya because I like Zendaya. She's a great actress. She's in a lot of great movies. Maybe I guess I had more faith back then because I hadn't just seen it, but Puss in Boots: The Last Wish was a sequel to the first Puss in Boots, and it has changed the art style like pretty drastically. And that movie was really good, and I really liked the art style in that one. So maybe I was like, DreamWorks, they know what they're doing. Anyways, that's my thoughts on the new Shrek 5 teaser. I know everyone was waiting with bated breath to see if I had changed my highly controversial opinions. That's basically the high and low of it. I wanted to move on and talk about the last Jackass movie. They just released the final Jackass movie because all the cast is now like old and decrepit and probably brain damaged. For those of you who don't know, Jackass is like the show. It's been going on for a long time. It was on MTV, and it was just like they did stunts, a lot of gross out stuff, and a lot of public like pranks and public like humiliation like things. It was heavily ingrained in like skate culture and like kind of early 2000s, I don't know, kind of counterculture movements. And it's huge. It became huge. I think this is the 5th movie. I haven't seen it. I didn't see it. They had like a whole like red carpet, and they had all these. Pedro Pascal was there, which is crazy. But yeah, it was a big thing, and like I guess it pioneered a lot of like modern like American comedy. I mean, you probably see like there are probably like a lot of YouTube channels like heavily inspired by Jackass and other MTV shows that are trying to do like pranks like them. And I saw that one was coming out, and I remember I watched the last one, it's Jackass Forever. Um, and I mean, growing up, I'd seen like a little bit because my family would play like MTV every now and then, so I've seen like a little bit of like the Jackass thing, some of the movies. Um, but besides the Jackass Forever, I don't think I'd ever watched like sit through an entire one and watched it. And so I was like, maybe I should do that. I was going back and I was kind of just putting them on, just so I could see like, because I like watching things that are like culturally important, pop culture. A lot of that stuff does not hold up. I think, not because I'm like, oh, it's too gross or it's too, too. I don't like seeing people get injured. But I mean, I guess there's kind of a quaintness, kind of a charm to how simplistic some of the stuff is. Like you have a boxing glove come out of a wall and hit someone, or you have a big hand slap a person and make them drop their soup. But some of it's just like, what if I drove off a ramp and just didn't try and land it, and that's the end. Or what if I drove into a sign and just that's the whole bit. And it's not very like elaborate or like that insane or that shocking. But maybe I'm just saying that because it's the movie came out like 10, 15 years ago, and that stuff's old. Maybe at the time it was amazing. The stuff that I really didn't like, and this kind of made me dislike it, the movies, was whenever they do like not whenever, but sometimes, most of the time when they do like a public prank, where an example is like, one of the guys, Johnny Knoxville, he has like old man makeup on and he's pretending to be like a grandpa, and he has like his grandson, an actor playing his grandson, and the premise of the bit is like the grandson smoking a cigarette. The grandpa gives him a cigarette and alcohol, and it's like, how will the strangers react? How will people in public react to a grandpa giving their grandson alcohol and cigarettes? And it's a good premise for a bit, but it just evolves into Johnny Knoxville arguing with these people. Like the guy's like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing that?" He's like, "Mind your business," blah blah blah. And then it gets to a point where they're just like, threatening each other, like, "Oh, let's fight. Let's fight." They're like squaring up, and it's like that's what the bit turns into. You just like, because it sounds like he's genuinely just like offended by this guy being like, "Don't give your fake grandson cigarettes." Like he barely like in the character at all. He's not trying to do anything funny or like kind of like absurd to make the guy be like, what is going on? Like there's no escalation of the bit. It just becomes him arguing with people on the street. And there's another one where that's the case also. And I'm not gonna be like, this is morally bad or like ethically bad, because these guys, obviously, I've seen a lot of people like in discussions talking about like things that the cast members do like off camera, being like, that's not a good thing, that this guy's, these people are not good people. It's like, yeah, like that's their whole thing. I'm not shocked. Like obviously maybe I should expect better from them because they're like celebrities now. But like their whole on-screen presence is just them being nuisances. So I'm not going to be like, he shouldn't be so mean. That's not nice to do that to someone. But I'm like, come on, do like a little bit more. Compare that to someone whose pranks I do like. That being Eric Andre of the Eric Andre Show fame. I love his show. It's one of my favorite like comedy shows. It was on Adult Swim. I don't know if it's still going on. I don't know if Adult Swim even makes TV anymore. That's a great show that has a lot of great public like pranks, and that has like absurd like fuck me, I can't say the word, absurd escalations, and the whole point is like making people see something that like, they're just like, what, like how do they even react? And like it's not, and like Eric Andre's in character, he's saying things that the person that he's like playing would say, and he's trying to like not really like make them want to fight him, but like elicit like a what the hell kind of reaction. And I think his stuff is really great. And I bring him up because I watched a movie recently with him in it. He's the co-star with John Cena. That is a new Netflix comedy called Little Brother. John Cena is like a realtor, and he's trying to get on like a realtor reality show. And he has an older brother who's like a billionaire rich guy. And then Eric Andre plays like not his real little brother, but there was like this program where you hang out with like a kid. And you're his big brother for a day. And Eric Andre's character never forgot about that, and into adulthood he breaks out. He's in like a psychiatric ward, and he breaks out to go see John Cena, and then chaos ensues. I watched that movie just because I really like Eric Andre as a comedian. I liked his last movie too. Yeah, I'm glad that he got another Netflix gave him another leading role in a comedy movie, because his last one, Bad Trip, did not do well. I think it was released like very close to the pandemic, maybe, and it did not make a lot of money. And actually, the reason he made it a sixth season of his show is because the movie didn't make any money. And I like that movie. I like it more than this new one. Because I was let down because I thought there was gonna be like his first movie, more of like the public pranks thing. Because the Bad Trip movie is like a narrative strung along with the public prank, like the normal stuff that he does in between. They just have like a narrative, like, it's like a movie, but also what he does on his show. I really enjoyed those parts because I like seeing. I think he's really good at doing those kinds of things. And I saw a clip and I thought that's what this movie was going to be. That's why I decided to watch it. But it's just like it's a straightforward comedy movie. It's like just like a normal narrative. The movie's all right. I saw people that like really hated it, and also the other reason I wanted to see it because it's John Cena. I really like him as an actor. I liked him as a wrestler too as a kid. And they're the strongest parts of the movie, both John Cena and Eric Andre. Their performances, shockingly, Eric Andre does a good job at dramatic scenes. John Cena does good as well. I liked him. Obviously, he plays Peacemaker, and despite the problems I talked about last episode, the problems I have with Peacemaker Season 2, he is always been a great performer, both dramatically. I haven't seen him in that many comedies. I saw him in the Fred movies, so I guess that those count as comedies. But they're both good in this. Everything else in the movie is kind of very generic. There weren't many times I laughed out loud. The thing that I found the funniest was when they were doing the fake reality show, like the scenes with I guess kind of spoilers, but who cares? Because they show you like clips of like the fake reality show that John Cena's character is trying to get in. The part that I especially liked was when Eric Andre's character gets on the show, and he's pretending to be like a cool realtor guy with sunglasses, and he's crossing his arms. Just seeing him and his character, who they're like a crazy character, but like seeing them like pretend to be like tough and like kind of mysterious as like a realtor for this fake reality show. I thought that was humorous. Yeah, so that's the Little Brother movie. You can watch it if you want to. I just thought I would mention it because it's a new movie that I watched, but I don't have any strong feelings towards it. I'll probably forget it by next week. Anyways, we're out of that part. That's the first part of the show. All the random crap that I just wanted to shove into the first half of the show. We could get into the meat and potatoes of this, okay? Meat and potatoes. That's actually a very apt phrase to use, because the show that I want to talk about for the rest of the episode is one starring chefs and kitchens and food and knives, cutlery, and it's called The Bear. FX's The Bear, a show that I have mentioned briefly, maybe once or twice, 3 times, and a show that I've been a real big fan of for the few years that it's been on. And I have quite a, I guess I'll go over. Recently, the last season came out of The Bear, the final season. This is shortly after they released the TV special, which is just like an extra episode, like a flashback episode with Eben Boss Backrack's character and John Bernthal's character, which I talked about on an episode. I'll put a card up here. Yeah, I'll put a card right up there if you want to watch that episode. I talk about it. And that's probably the most I've talked about the bear on the show. This final season came out, and it came out as I was moving. It was like a day before the Supergirl movie, so I was already behind. I decided I had to put my priorities in order. I was like, what thing is someone more likely to click on, Supergirl or the bear? I had to make a decision. And so it took me a while to get to the bear because I was mid-move, and it was like, you have to put some time into watching a TV show compared to you just sit in a movie theater for like 2 hours. The big question on everyone's mind is, did the bear land on its feet in its final season? Did it follow the path of Stranger Things and be a total flop, disaster? Was it like The Boys when it petered out? Petered out, yeah, that's the right word, in its final season? Or was it like a Breaking Bad, where it reached new heights and left the audience completely satisfied? And before I get into this, spoilers, I'm recording this afterwards because I forgot to say spoilers before I talked about the season. Spoilers for season 5 of The Bear and the whole show. I'll give a little rundown of what I've thought of The Bear thus far. Season 1 is a perfect season of television. Near perfect season of television. I forget the exact year I watched that. It was probably 20. I think when I watched it, the second season, I think the second season came out maybe like not long after I watched the first one. So it wasn't exactly as soon as it came out, but I watched season 1, loved it all the way through. I thought I loved the performances has always been a standout for me. I told you, Jeremy Allen White is great as Carmi. Eben Moss Backrack, told you, I think he might be my favorite actor. One of my favorite actors, definitely top 5. He just gives a great performance. His all his like dialogue and all his deliveries just sounds so natural and real. The show I really like the way the show was shot. I like the way it looked. There's an episode that's all one take, which I really like things that are one take. I find it really impressive. They have a whole episode dedicated to that. It's like it's a tight narrative. It's emotional. I love that the last part of the finale of season 1. That part's so great. It'll get me like teary eyed when I watch it a lot of the time. Season 2, I think also a perfect season of television. It takes season 1 and it like fleshes out the characters more. It has a lot of standouts. One of my favorite episodes, Forks, which is one that a lot of people will talk about. Forks. It's the one centered around Richie, Eben Moss Backrack's character. And that's when they start having like these little vignettes, these episodes where it's just focused on one character and what they're doing, completely separate from the kitchen. Season 3, however, was all right. It was all right. I remember watching it. Super excited for it. Episode 1 of season 3, loved it. It did something like very, I did something I didn't expect. It was a way of because season 2 kind of ends off on a cliffhanger of sorts. And season 3, it kind of makes you wait a little longer for the resolution or the continuation of that. It's another flashback episode, and it's done. It's like, is there any? I think there is dialogue. Maybe there isn't any dialogue. I don't remember. But it's like one long like flashback montage of Carmi's like journey leading up to him, joining the bear, like his whole fine dining career. It's really well done. The rest of the season, though, I guess it was kind of meant to be like the first of a 2-parter, because they were originally going to do seasons 3 and 4, like film it back to back. They didn't end up doing that, but season 3 ends on like a to be continued. And season 4 is like the second half of that story. I get what it's trying to do, like now. I get it now. Maybe if I watched the whole show all the way through, season 3 would fit like a lot better, knowing where it's going. Because it's meant to be like the fall of the bear, like them, like Carmi especially, like deteriorating, like his aspirations, like getting the best of him. They do break it up with some really good episodes, like there's one centered around Tina, a flashback episode with Tina's character, who's great, who I love. She's going to be in Spider-Man Brand New Day. A little fun fact for you. The one with Sugar and Dee Dee when Sugar's giving birth. That one's also great. Little vignettes that kind of take it away. I think I like them. Those ones. Those are like my favorite ones of the season because they kind of, a lot of the kitchen stuff. That's usually my favorite part of the show, the kitchen stuff. But a lot of it in this one, it started to get like kind of tired. But the point of doing that is to show like how much this is like destructive, like Carmi's like how destructive Carmi's like way of working is, and how I don't know. It's just, to me, I was like, this sucks. Like, why would anybody even want to be in fine dining? Like, this is horrible. Who would want to be a chef? Everything sucks. But then you get to the last episode of season 3, and they have this super long scene with all these. I think they're like real life chefs, and they're at like a party for this one restaurant that's closing down, like a goodbye party. There's a super long scene where you just see them. They're just talking about their stories in the kitchen, and I think it's like real conversations. I don't think it was scripted. I think there's real chefs telling their real stories. It goes on for like too long, and they're just having like this. It's a real conversation, so it's like a real, like, with people who are like kind of acquainted who don't really know each other. So it's like kind of awkward and kind of. That's probably my least favorite part of the finale, just watching these people talk about how much they love fine dining, but they're talking about stories of like, oh yeah, this guy cut off his whole hand or something like that. I'm like, what the hell? Why would anybody like this? So it seems like to me, kind of the messaging kind of gets muddled when the whole season is like showing you how much fine dining sucks, only for you to get to the end of it and it's like a celebration of like the restaurant and being a chef is so amazing. I feel like I didn't like that much. However, season 4 kind of helped me put it into perspective because season 4 brings it back. I thought season 4 was great season of television. Another one of my favorite episodes, Bears. Maybe I should have realized this before, but they help explain the points of season 3 is showing spoilers for season 4, I guess. But at the end of it, they kind of tease it throughout season 4, like Carmi falling out of love with this profession and realizing that and being like, I'm going to leave because this doesn't make me happy anymore doing this. And you see that throughout season 3, Carmi, the way Carmi's doing this, like it's not really a passion for him, but he's kind of just like, seems like he's kind of torturing himself to just because he can never be good enough. And then we get to the final season here, season 5. I gotta say, it's nice not having to wait a decade for a show to begin and end because it started in 2022 and this last season came out in 2026. So it's nice. We got 5 seasons in 4 years. And the seasons aren't as long as shows used to be. There's only like 8 to 10 episodes. But it's nice, being able to watch a show begin and end without having to be like, I started this show when I was in diapers and now I'm graduating with a master's in college and I'm getting to see the final season of the show that I've loved. But then it turns out that it sucks. Like, that would be horrible. I like that. And I think what helps with this show is that it probably has a fairly low budget. You know what I mean? Because some streaming shows, even ones that I like, Severance, Pluribus, they've been having. Severance had such a long break between seasons 1 and 2, and apparently Pluribus is going to have such a long break between seasons 1 and 2. It's nice to have, and I guess compared to those shows, The Bear has a pretty low budget, especially this season because season 5 does something that I was not expecting, but I really liked, which is that this season takes place, almost the entire season takes place in one day. Episodes 1 through 7 all over the course of one day. And I binged it all in one season or in one sitting, which I think is kind of the prime way to do it, because it's all in one day. You don't want to lose I took a little bit of a break before the finale because that's when they switch days, and a lot of the episodes are also like 20, 30 minutes, a breeze sitting through it. It was a really nice sitting. Like I didn't feel like a slog sitting through it, and it all flowed like really well. Um, not as like not in a way where it's like this should have just been a movie. I like how the episodes are segmented out. But I thought it was a really nice. I thought it was a cool thing to do, to have it all take place over one day. And you expect the final season to be like the stakes are higher than ever. There's a competing restaurant across the street and they have to blow it up, and there's explosions and gunfights. Obviously they wouldn't do that. That's just a heightened example of what they would do. But the show, it seems like they kind of challenge themselves to be like, how can we make this the smallest scale while having like super high stakes? Like, how do we make you care about the stakes of this one day, like this 24-hour span in one location? And they do a really great job of doing that, because I gotta say, genuinely love this season. It's like it might be my third favorite season of The Bear. I definitely like it more than season 3. I think I like it more than season 4 because there isn't much that I didn't like about this season. I saw that the Rotten Tomatoes had it like 100%, but they were like, when they do like the tomato meter reveal and it's like 100%, but with 25 reviews, it's like 25 people reviewed it. Why are we bragging about that? If you show me like, oh yeah, these 25 guys like this show, that means it's good. I wouldn't take that. I would not trust their opinion. You gotta have like a larger sample size. It's hard for me to pick out things that I didn't like about this season. I'm so glad to say that, because last week it seemed like the opposite with the movie that I talked about. I guess if I could say a few things that I'm like I wish could have been a little bit better. One of them is the facts. The facts has always been like a main point of contention for a lot of viewers of The Bear, because in season 3 people are like, the facts are like they're like a family that like two of them work at The Bear as like janitors or like electricians or something, and the joke with them is like they have this huge family with like all these siblings, and a lot of them are played by like famous actors. John Cena's in season 3. He plays one of the facts. In season 4, Brie Larson is one of the sister. The facts are like the main source of the comedic relief. And a lot of people are like, I'm sick of the facts, like the way that their humor, I'm just not hitting with me. And that was the main thing that people said about season 3, which I didn't get it like that in season 3. But in season 5, I feel like a lot of the times their like humor and the way they act is so out of place, especially like these first 7 episodes. The whole premise is that they're out of money. The Bear is out of money. They're out of food. They have to like ration out their food like very thoroughly, like very carefully, to make sure they don't run out of things before the night ends. And all this stuff is like coming to a head, and it's like the most important day. That's why it's the whole season is on this one day, because it's like the most important day of the restaurant. And also the guy with the Michelin star is coming, so they gotta like make sure that they give great service to him, so they can hopefully earn a Michelin star and have their restaurant stay in business. And the facts the whole time, they're acting so childish and like not even in a way that's realistic. And I'm like, guys, this is not. They're at least smart enough to understand like the situation that they're in and like how dire it is. And you can have comedic relief. There are some moments where they're funny, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of times when they try to do like the inside jokes are kind of like the more personal jokes that you would have like with family or with friends that like not everybody gets, but like you kind of have a thing. A lot of it seems very. I don't know how, like it's unrealistic the way that it's depicted. And it takes me out sometimes, because I'm like, this seems like weird improv where it's like the joke is that like you're aliens that don't know, that have never been on Earth before or something. But like that's honestly the only criticism that I could think of for this season. I did notice that they tried to make this season like a bit more like cinematic. Like in the first 2 episodes, there's like this super dramatic lighting, which I don't really like pin as being like, oh, that's from The Bear. Like it looked different than I remember most of the shots looking in all the earlier seasons. I wasn't a huge fan of it, and it looks like they kind of drop it in the later episodes. Like after episode 2, they're like it goes back to like normally what it looks like. I mean, maybe that's because the day that the most of the season takes place on, there's like this crazy thunderstorm. So maybe they were doing like that kind of lighting because the thunderstorm is like causing, it's like so much rain, and they can't have the beef window open, and the water's like flooding the pipes. The pipe breaks and the whole basement floods, and the ceiling caves in, and so like they're just dealing with all of these things, and the facts are still like treating it like they're at Disneyland or something. So maybe the lighting was like meant to reflect the situation that they're in. And I had the added benefit of watching this season in 4D because while I was watching, there was an actual thunderstorm going on, and so when they show in the show like the lightning happening outside, there was also lightning happening outside in real life. So I got like a fully immersive experience of watching this season. I think that kind of elevated my enjoyment of it. So I'm glad that I paid for the 4D experience. And another thing that they did for this season is that I noticed in the credits of the first episode, it said original score composed by Hans Zimmer. I was like, holy shit, Hans Zimmer did the music. Famous, legendary film composer Hans Zimmer did the original score for this season. And I was like, I don't remember ever seeing his name in the credits for any of the other seasons. I was like, maybe this is a thing where he was always the composer and I just noticed it now. Then I looked it up and it's like, no, they got Hans Zimmer just for this final season. And this is like the only season of the whole show to not have any like licensed music. They don't have any like needle drops in it. It's solely just the original score that Hans Zimmer composed for the show. And I saw people that they didn't like that. And I didn't realize that that's like the first time they've had like a score composed for the show. Before they used Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails. They used tracks of his, but like it was kind of they were made before the show. Like they weren't made for the show. They just used like his. He made like instrumental, like kind of ambient stuff that they put in for the show. And while I like the show, like I always like the show's like licensed music that they use. This show has great music. A lot of songs that I listen to now because of the show that I love. Songs that I listened to before that were put in, I was like, oh my god, I love that song. Perfect. I also really like the score for this season. I'm waiting for it to like release on a streaming platform so I can listen to it. It had some really nice songs composed for this movie, for this show. In the first few episodes, there's like kind of a lot of it sounds like Blade Runner music, which I guess is fitting because they reference Blade Runner a few times in the show. Like synthy, like kind of synth wavy kind of tracks. And then there's like an emotional one with like the piano that I really like. But yeah, I still like, despite it being like such a change from all the other seasons, I like the music in this one. They don't have the song at the beginning of the first episode, the one where it's like whenever they need to lock in, the one that's like that song is so. Whenever I'm like in a situation where I'm like, okay, I need to focus and get this done, I hear that song in my head because And this season would have been, there have been so many moments for that song to play, but they never do it. I guess we could talk about the characters in the show and the actors. Jeremy Allen White is back as Carmy, the main character, although he's no longer the head chef. You can see that Jeremy Allen White, he's fresh off of his appearance as Rod of the Hutt in the Star Wars Mandalorian movie. And you can see that he really took some pointers from his time working on the Mandalorian movies. You can see like it changed his performance in this. He took those notes from the grueling work that he did performing in that movie, and he was like Tom Holland when he was doing the Odyssey. He was like, it really put into perspective how making a movie is supposed to go. That's what Jeremy Allen White realized after playing Rod of the Hutt in Star Wars: The Mandalorian and Grogu. So you can see he's channeled Rod of the Hutt this season. I thought that he would barely be in it, or maybe he would have like a side plot where he's like trying to find like a new thing to like. But since the whole thing takes place in one day, he's just kind of like He's just one of like a normal, instead of the head chef, he's given that job to Sydney. And Sydney in this, I've always liked Sydney in this. And I like seeing her as like the head chef. I forget the word, they use like a word. Maybe he's just head chef. I like seeing Sydney lead in a way that's different than how we saw Carmi lead and how we saw the one guy that taught him. Part of the show is like generational trauma and kind of breaking those cycles. And the show beautifully does that, both in like the family sense, with like parents and siblings, and also in the sense of working as a chef, because obviously you have the trauma that Carmi and Mikey and Sugar went through with their mother, them kind of reconciling with that, and then you also have Sid, because Carmi, he's angry all the time, and the way he like leads is a lot of yelling, a lot of getting angry. It's because he learned that from the guy that trained him, the Joel McHale's character, the super mean guy who's like, you suck, you're horrible, like a lot of like psychological like torture to make him like be the best that he can be. But you see Sid, and you expect, there's many parts in this where you expect Sid to just blow up and be like, start yelling. They even have a scene where it's like they have like the setup of like zooming in on her face, and she's like, her eyes are closed, and they're like flashing like different things that are like stressing her out. But then they subvert that, and she has like a level head, and she like logically and like normally just explains like what like everyone's job is and what they're gonna do. And I was like, nice, that's perfect. And so like she's not letting like Carmi, who can yell and get mean sometimes, like she's not letting that turn her into an also like bitter, like mean kind of person who loses their temper. It's great. I think it's great. She's kind of annoying in the beginning episodes. There's like a part when Carmi's like reaching to get like this like string to tie this thing, and he has to keep reaching over, and she's like, can I have some personal space? It's like, guys, you're in a kitchen, all right, and you got limited time. You gotta like hurry up, like personal space. You can't focus on that right now. You know what I mean? Besides that, I really like seeing Sydney and like showing why she's like the right choice to be the head chef, and like kind of ending the streak of like leading with raising your voice and not raising your words. That's a good way to describe it. Thank you. I'm a genius. And a lot of the later episodes have like great moments of like payoffs and like reconciliations that have been building up both over the course of the season and over the course of like the whole show. And I felt so dumb when I was like tearing up about them talking about food dishes, like when the Michelin star guy comes, or the person that they thought the Michelin star guy was, and they're like, we're out, and Carmi drops the plate with the pork chop on it, and I was like, damn, that was their last pork chop too. That's what I mean. Like, I've never been like, I felt so like shocked when that plate fell. I'm like, no fucking way. That's what I mean. Like, the season does such a great job of like making you like feel the stakes. Steaks. That's a good pun. In this case, it's pork chops. No, it's lamb, not pork chops. It's lamb. Cause I'm like, it's just him dropping a plate. But like, to me, I'm like, holy shit, dude. Carmi dropped a plate. He doesn't make mistakes. And that's Carmi also does that too. He's like, what? I can't believe I dropped the plate. And for the Michelin star guy. And then there's that great moment where Richie's like, we got you. Like calming him down. Like, you don't have to worry. Like, that's another great moment. Very well done. And then they're like, Sid, we have to do the dish that she has been planning and like perfecting, that her dish of the Coke ribs since I think the first episode. She writes it in her little notebook like Coke ribs, and we've seen her like kind of develop on that idea. And they're like, you have to give him the Coke ribs because we have ribs. We don't have any more lamb. We have to give him the ribs. And Carmi's like, it's the best dish I've ever tasted. I was like, damn. And then I started tearing up because I'm like, damn. And because if you remember in season 3, I think the first episode, we see Sid try one of Carmi's dishes way back when he worked at like another Michelin star restaurant. And it's like the best thing that she ever tasted. And that's the reason why she's such a big fan of Carmi. to turn that around and Carmi be like, your dish is the best dish I've ever tasted, and then they give it to the Michelin star guy. Chef's kiss, amazing. What was I about to say? Oh yeah, Coke ribs sounds good. Mostly the Coke part. Can you make it with Coke Zero? Is my question. That's my question. Then I think I would like it a little bit more if it was Coke Zero. But it turns out that the Michelin star guy is, and also all the scenes with Marcus, the scenes with Marcus and his dad. I don't know why, but as soon as like they saw each other, I was like, damn, that really got to me. Even though like, I mean, you see Marcus, he's like freaking out about it the whole season, like his dad being there on that day. But then it turns out that the guy who they thought was the Michelin star guy was just a random guy. It was no one, and the real Michelin star guy was someone who was in an episode of season 4. And I had a feeling that this guy was going to be relevant. I was like, maybe he's the Michelin star guy, because they have the scene where they have like, they're like, this family wants to see snow, but they can't, and they have like fake snow like outside, and they have like this whole display outside where they have it's a really nice moment. It's one of my favorite moments of the show. And then you just cut to this like random guy being like, wow, look at this. And it turns out that's the Michelin star guy. And he was there like months ago. And so this whole time they were freaking out about the Michelin star guy. And they reveal like it wasn't even him at all. And he was already there. And it turns out they didn't get a Michelin star. They got 2 Michelin stars. And it's like, wow, like great like way of wrapping that all up. Great way of wrapping that up. And I was like, I knew that guy was going to be important too. I mean, I guess it makes sense because that's just like the cinematic language telling you like we're cutting to this guy for a reason. And yeah, I thought that was great. All the stuff with like Dee Dee. There's a scene near the end with Dee Dee, Carmi, and Sugar, and that's the whole like the bear like family. I guess biological family. Like reminiscing on their time in Mikey and all that stuff. I thought that was all very. There's a part where Dee Dee, she comes to the restaurant because she's like, the power went out, and she's watching Sugar's baby. She's like, the power went out. It's okay. I got like she has like 50 candles going on. She's like, it's okay. We're all right. I just gotta tell you. Then Sugar's like, you have to come here. Okay. I don't. First of all, I'm like, Sugar, why you want her to drive in the rain, like in the storming rain? You think that's more safe than her just staying with the candles on? And then like an episode or 2 later, she shows up like in the most inopportune time, and they're like, go wait in the office with the baby. And Dee Dee, she take right before going in, she just takes a second to look around and be like, wow, like taking this thing that like her family like like it was her. I think she bought like the original restaurant that Mikey had, but to see it turn into this thing that's like so beautiful, I heard like taking a second to take that in, I thought was really beautiful. And then, yeah, they get the Michelin stars. The last episode is the one that's finally not in the day that everything went down. And they have, they show Carmi. He's in like a suit. He looks really, no hate, but it's interesting seeing him in like a normal suit. We see him do an interview for an architectural like designer job because he's like trying to find like a new job. And they have like an interview scene with him, interviewing. And there's some speculation about whether or not, like, what the scene what the scene entails for Carmi, like what it's telling you about Carmi. Because the interview lady asks, like, what do you hope to get out of this? And he goes on this, like, monologue about being, like, he talks about, like, the events of the last 7 episodes. He's, like, being in the kitchen and, like, everything was horrible, but we were having the time of our life. Like it was one of the best things, like getting able to work together and like create something beautiful. And the lady's like, okay, well, what do you want out of this job? And people have been speculating about whether that scene is Carmi realizing that he does still have passion for being a chef, and the only reason that he thought that he didn't is because he's been running kitchens the way that he was taught to run them by the evil guy that taught him, and doing it like with the people that he loves, like the whole Bear crew and Sydney and cousin, you know what I mean? Maybe that's like what he needed to reignite his passion. That's So I like,
but they don't really explain that. They keep that up, like that they intentionally do that. I think Jeremy Allen White was like, I intentionally acted to where like you don't know what exactly what he's feeling. So you got to end the season with a little bit of ambiguity as to what happened next. I like that. I like that they did that. There is also I just remember a really great, beautiful moment, because there's sometimes you see Carmy throughout the show, like texting Mikey's phone number. It's like not delivered because Mikey, he died. And then he leaves near the end of the finale, one text saying, "All good," full stop, and sends it. And that was so beautiful. That moment, hey, like texting him like everything's all good here, and then the full stop being like, I assume that's like the last of his messages. I thought Carmen would write a book. I thought that's what I was like, because I saw a little clip of like a TV spot of the season, and there was John Mulaney's character, and he was like, "You got trauma and all these stories. It's great." And I was like, oh, maybe he's gonna write a book, which that would be a pretty interesting book if he wrote a book. Maybe he could have his drawings in there, because Carmen likes to draw. And then the last scene of the show is the birthday for Richie's daughter, which is very nice. You have all the characters there. Even Claire, who was barely in this season. Well, she was only in that scene. Everybody just has a big party. The cake has 100 candles, and it's just a very sweet. It's just a very sweet, feel good. It's a feel good. A lot of the show it's a feel good show. It's kind of like a comfort show if you get past all the screaming and yelling. It's a very nice ending, and I thought it was great. I thought it was really amazing. I think it was worth, keeping up with the show and watching all the seasons. And I really loved it. I did think it was fucked up how they had CGI Rob Reiner. I thought that was a weird inclusion. And I've watched a great many things in my life that have made me feel like overwhelming emotions, whether that be happy or sad. And whenever I go into something, I'm always like, I hope this will I can't really force it, but I hope this will give me that feeling in my chest that just makes me want to bawl my eyes out. Because I like doing that to movies. It makes me feel like cleansed. And I'm always like, there's no way that could happen to me again. I feel like it's happened too much. There's no way I could watch something that has that magic that makes me just want to spill out all my emotions. And this season was one of those things. And so I'm really grateful that I kept up with the show. And I thought it was really beautiful. Great show all around. I would give it my personal thumbs up. That's my rating system. It gets one personal thumbs up from me. Thanks, The Bear. That's it for this episode. That's all I had to say about The Bear Season 5. Anyways, thank you all for listening to this episode. Next week, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. So stay tuned for that. And thank you all for listening. Please subscribe, check out other episodes, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.